Hello and welcome to another episode of All Elite Arcade. It is Monday. As always, we're going to be talking about video games right here. And as always, Evil Uno and the Chugs are in the house. Chugs, like always, I keep thinking of coming to these podcasts and I haven't played a whole lot. And then we have a little powwow beforehand and I realize I play an abnormal amount of video games. And this week is no different.
Every single week.
Every single week. And then I forget like if I was going to count mobile too, I think I would, this podcast would be an extra hour as well. But I played a lot of stuff this week, Chugs, starting with, there's a few updates on some games that I've been playing. So for example, Fortnite just announced a big Simpsons mode. They're doing a mini season where you get to play in Springfield. You get to unlock a bunch of Simpsons skins. And I'm a huge Simpsons fan. That Simpsons first 12 seasons are like, it taught me a lot of the morals that I needed to learn when I was a kid. And to this day, a lot of the humor that I love is kind of like tailor-made from the Simpsons stuff. So I didn't play this mode. It actually it just came out. By the time this podcast airs, it will be out. But by the time, I have not played it yet. All to say, though, just before this came out was the very end of the Halloween season, and I hadn't played it at all this season. So I've actually delved back into Fortnite. I used to talk about this game almost every week. It's been a while. The game still rules. Truthfully, I think it is still wild to me that a game like this exists with so many properties. The fact that I'm now going to be jumping into a Simpsons game, essentially, and also not coordinated with the movie release, which if I was them, I would have coordinated that together. But anyways, the Halloween mode's incredible. It's got a great few modes. You fight Jason in there. I believe Ice Spice is in it as well. Or no, maybe that was a previous one. There's all kinds of enemies in there. There's all kinds of Halloween stuff. There's new skins. They put the Art the Clown from Terrifier in there, which is an incredible Halloween skin. They put Wednesday from Addams Family and obviously the Wednesday TV show. A ton of great new stuff. But the most recent season, the reason why I ended up jumping into it wasn't even about Halloween, and it was because the season pass, you could unlock the Green Ranger and the White Ranger from the Power Rangers and the Megazord and the Dragon Zord.
Dude,
in this pack.
Go.
Yes. And that alone, I was like, well, I will grind as long as it takes to get most of this. I did not end up getting the Green Ranger and the White Ranger. They were in the very, very late levels, but I did grind enough to get the Megazord and the Dragon Zord. So I feel content with my time in Fortnite. Very excited for the Simpsons stuff coming up, and I'll definitely be talking about it next week. Another update, and this is another game that I used to talk about a whole lot, but Vampire Survivors is constantly being updated, and just recently they dropped a free update where it is in cooperation with Balatro. It's a Balatro update to the video game. On top of the randomization of Vampire Survivors, if you've never played Vampire Survivors, it's one of those top-down shooters, except you don't control any of the weapons. They're automated. You just kind of control your movement. But it feels, in a lot of ways, it feels like playing a gambling game. So it associating with Balatro makes a ton of sense. Bunch of new maps, bunch of new characters. You get Jimbo from Balatro. You get a map that is essentially the tabletop of Balatro, the video game as well. A bunch of unlocks. It's the thing I love the most about Vampire Survivors is this is a $4 video game that came out 2 years ago, and every 2 months they're like, hey, here's, I don't know, 40 hours of new content. See you in 2 months. I know you'll be around. Like, you're going to want to play this anyways. And they've been keeping this game pretty fresh. People are still playing it. This Balatro is another one that I think is about to get an update soon. Yeah. That's going to get new life soon because that stole hundreds and hundreds of hours of my life away. Yeah, great Vampire Survivors update. If you have not played it, well worth your time as well. And then the last two I definitely want to talk about are, first of all, I talked about this game last week, but I am at the very end of Ghost of Yotei.
Ooh.
It finally, I'm now at the point, and this was the same in the first game. There's a point in the game where it's challenging, but then there's a point in the game where you've unlocked everything and you feel so powerful. And you can go into a barrage of 50 enemies and just decimate people. And that feeling is incredible. I finally feel like I've achieved that now in Ghost. There's still some challenges. I have 2 side missions I need to complete before I go to the final mission. But the final mission, I did get the warning where, like, if I jump on this is the last piece.
The point of no return.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know how lengthy that is, so that's why I've been pushing it back. I want to finish the 2 side pieces. Those side pieces still incredibly challenging, but the later portions of the game, because I was playing so consistently, I was doing all the side missions, I felt like a juggernaut. That feeling is so good when you feel like you're great at a video game. When in reality, it's just my stats that are good. I don't even know if I'm actually good at it. But man, if I could bottle up that feeling, I would. It is, in these type of games, one of my favorite things is when you finally feel like you have the full potential and the full movement. And Silksong has the same thing. There's a point where you have all of your tricks, all of your toys, all of your movement, and you're like, oh, now I can really like tap in and become incredible at this.
That's one of the best feelings. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say that's one of the best feelings in RPGs and action games. Like you said, Silksong, where like you get all these abilities finally and all of it's paying off and you feel just like a monster. Because the cool thing too, hypothetically, because it sounds like, did you do like all the side quests?
Everything except 2 pieces right now. And
That's
there's
so
probably,
wild.
there is like, there's some collectibles that are not side quests, but that are spread out through the land. So if I wanted to platinum it, I did platinum the first game, and there is a very good chance I platinum this one. It will happen later in the year, though. I will probably push this aside for Outer Worlds 2. But there are 2 missions left. There's a ton of little collectibles unlocked. But I am very deep in this. There's maybe 3 hours of content left for me to go through.
That's so awesome. Because I wonder too if, I mean, obviously, I guess if you got to the end point of the game and you didn't do all these side quests, you probably wouldn't feel unbelievably overpowered,
probably not.
right? Because there's all this important stuff you end up getting, or at least that's what it sounds like. So, man, that's awesome. Everyone, it pays off to do side quests.
It does.
As
Oh
the
my God.
lesson of the week on the podcast.
Please, and truthfully, this game especially, because you can mainline the main stories and not necessarily do a bunch of side pieces, but the side pieces really reward you because not only do they up stats, but they give you techniques that make fights a lot easier. So, for example, going back to like when you go to a camp and you fight as many people as possible. Initially, you can assassinate one person at a time, and eventually you can build on that skill and make it 2, 3. So as you stab one, it goes to slow motion. You leap to another. You leap to another, and then eventually, as you evolve that, you could kill 3 people and eventually throw a kunai, which is like a throwing dagger essentially, to a 4th guy. So if you don't do the side pieces, you're already 3 enemies deeper into the combat, and that already makes it more difficult. And that's only just one of the things. You know, every weapon has its own tree. Every secondary weapon has its own tree. Every long range, which there's 4 of them as well, also has its own trees. Late in this game, slight spoilers on Ghost of Yote. Slight spoiler, but you get firearms at some point too.
Whoa!
Yeah, which dramatically changes some stuff, and also especially for duels, really mixes up the rhythm because the second you get shot, you're kind of screwed, right? So the late parts of this game have been incredible, but you definitely do want to do some of the side pieces because I don't know if I would not feel this strong. I think if I hadn't done everything. But yes, incredible game. I'm loving it. It is, I think, maybe the PlayStation Game of the Year to me right now.
Nice.
But who knows? We still have 2 months left. A lot could change in that time. But I'm having a blast when it comes to Ghost of Yote.
Yeah, Uno. When I'm done with my Silk Song journey, which I'll get into later, I feel like I think I'm going to go through a couple of different games and try to ping pong some back and forth. But I think my main focus is going to be Ghost of Yote. Between the little bit that I played, all the rave reviews everyone's giving it, and now you talking about it, I'm like, man, I got to jump in.
It's a good use of your time. And now that I'm deeper into it, I really enjoy this story.
Awesome.
To a point that I'm like, okay, maybe this is a better story than the first game. I definitely, you would not go wrong putting more time into this game. It's been incredible. And then finally, I teased this last week, but I had also talked about this game back in August when I ended up going to Germany for Gamescom. But at Gamescom, I ended up playing a demo for a game that I had never heard of before, published by Raw Fury. That's the same people who published Blueprints, and that's a lot of the reason why I ended up trying this out. I was like, oh, I remember this name. These are the people that published Blueprints. It's called Séance of Blake Manor, and you're going to hear me talk about it again after this podcast. I say this now because I ended up playing the entirety of this game, which took me 26 hours. I did that in 2.5 days. This is how addicted to this game I was. Much like Blueprints, it is a puzzle-ish game with cel-shaded graphics, so it has like that kind of comic overlook that Blueprints did as well, and there are some there are some puzzle elements in it. But what it is essentially a big manor with a bunch of characters and a bunch of rooms to explore. And much like I'm going to do a lot of similarities to a lot of other things because I feel like they picked a lot of the little pieces from other games and fold them into a larger game, and it's worked wonders. But so Séance of Blake Manor is essentially you are an investigator who was sent a letter about a missing person at this seance. This person was there in the first few days of the seance and now has inexplicably disappeared. But you don't know who hired you. You end up showing up to this manor. It's in the 1800s. And the manor is having a seance on Halloween night where they will bring a spirit to speak to people. And so it attracts a bunch of people from different religions, different ways of life, but a lot of people are. It's in like the weird folklore, be it Irish folklore. There's voodoo people. There's different versions of Christian there as well. You really get to explore like all kinds of different religions, different magic attached beings as well. But essentially, you are searching in 3 days leading into Halloween night, which when the seance will happen, what happened to this character, who would have taken and potentially killed them, and as you progress through this, you have more mysteries. So there, I believe, are 18 characters in the house. You get to talk to all of them. They all have their own personal mysteries that you could solve on top of the major mystery, and it is incredible. It's definitely up my alley. It's very much a detective game. You could play this game and not complete everything, and it still leads to something at the end. So there are multiple ways you can go about the game, and there are multiple endings at the game. And even if you complete everything, which I did, at the very end there was also multiple endings as well. So it has an interesting branching path, and you could theoretically solve the mystery and help two of the people of the 18 and just get to the end, and it would result in one type of ending. Or you could do all of them, which is trying to go for the true ending, for example, and complete it. But the way it really works is you question a person, you ask them about little subject that you've explored in the house, and it then gives you new problems to try and solve. And the thing that makes this game so unique is that the way it's measured, it usually tells you, let's say you get in on the 29th of October, because the 31st of October is the crescendo of this whole game. You get in at like 8 p.m. and it says, oh, at 10 p.m. we're going to meet here. So you have 2 hours of in-game time to explore. But every time you interact with a thing, that takes 1 minute. And so as you explore the house, because you know at 10 p.m. you have a goal to meet this person, for 2 hours you can do whatever the hell you want. But you probably want to try and solve what's going on with this person because at 10 p.m. you have to account for it. And so it really drives the narrative in a way that it's not holding your hand to do anything. You could definitely explore most of the game. You can't get to the end of the game early, but you can get into some really deep subjects from the game fairly early if you want to. But most of the time, it gives you a pretty good incentive of like this character, this meeting, this time, or this event at this time, so you kind of have an idea of where to branch your path. It's fascinating because it's very much a deductive game where you talk to a person, they give you an indication a little bit, like in the speech that you have back and forth with them, they'll give you a little hint as to what their issue will be, but then you have to go and figure out through other characters or by breaking into their room or by breaking into another room, for example, let's say the kitchen, because it's been talked about, or blah, 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 and kind of make the pieces fit together on a narrative scale. You have to figure that out. And then what happens is when you have all the pieces to solve the riddle or solve the mystery, it presents you with a Return of the Obra Dinn style detective game panel where it gives you all the words that are unlocked for this person. So for example, it would give you objects and people as one, and then it would give you feelings as the other, and you would have to fill a phrase saying what the like hypothesis of this mystery is with the content you found. So even if you go through and get every piece of information on the character, it's up to you to try and piece it together to come with the proper hypothesis, which makes it super interesting. And then on top of that, it also has a magic aspect to the game. There are spells, there are sigils to break, and that leads into these little like witness style puzzles that are line puzzles to do sigils. I don't think I'm doing it justice speaking about it, but it's a super fascinating game. I don't think that many people are playing it right now because it's jammed in the middle of every game of the year humanly possible right now. But if you have not played, or if this interests you at all, it's on PC right now. It's called The Séance of Blake Manor. I think it's going to be a great contender by the end of the year. I enjoyed it a whole lot. It's not Blueprints, which I still think is at the very top for me right now, but it is in contendership for the end of the year for me. Very fascinating game, definitely up my alley. And so if you're interested, go check it out. And that's it for me this week. That's actually all I got in. I really wanted to play more, but truthfully, that one game dominated most of my time. Chugs, on your end, I know you played a lot, including the one I'm most excited to hear about is this Pokemon update.
Oh, yes, which I am absolutely going to jump into. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to jump right into the Pokemon update. Which, by the way, though, the games you played this week sound absolutely awesome, and you did a great job of selling the last one that you were playing. I definitely want to play it. I want to play all of it. I want to play all of it.
If only we had more time.
I know, God. But like you had mentioned, Uno, first and foremost, this is normally how I start the discussion of what I've been playing every week, because every single morning for a year at this point, I, of course, am playing Pokemon trading card game Pocket. But recently, there was a massive update to this game. So the entire time new cards or new packs have come out, that has all been a part of the A series. Recently, they celebrated the 1-year anniversary, so they got their first set of cards for the B series, which is 3 brand new packs. But the big selling point of these packs is they have released Mega EX Pokemon. So for example, one of them being a Mega EX Gyarados that has over 200 HP. Some of the moves, it's like it'll do 150 damage, but on top of that, the player has to take like 4 cards off the top of their deck. Like some of these cards are just unbelievable as far as damage. I don't know if that's the exact card that does it, but I'm pretty sure that the Gyarados not only does a ton of damage, but removes cards from your opponent's deck, which is just wild. But once again, these Mega EX Pokemon, they're worth 3 points. So if you take down one of them, that's over. Game is over. You win. So I like the risk reward there. But in addition to all these new cards that they've added, all these new battle mechanics, like with the Mega EX Pokemon, they did a bunch of awesome little quality of life improvements as well. So in addition to the new cards, there's also something where when I would go into my cards and want to look at the set of cards that I had, I always used to have to go in and then go into the settings and change it to where it would show more than 4 diamond cards. It would show 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 2-star alt art, shiny, double shiny, crown, all that used to be hidden. But now you can change it and save it where it constantly shows all those star cards, the crowns, the shinies, as well as the promo cards, which is really, really nice for me because as a Pokemon TCG Pocket collector, I like to be able to look at all the cards I need to collect. And speaking of that, I can't tell you how thankful I am that the devs decided to do this. But Uno, I know you know this, but when I first started playing Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, my big thing was just collecting the cards. That was really the main thing I was focused on. I didn't really get that into the battling. And about halfway through, I started battling, and I love that now just as much as collecting the cards. But oftentimes for battling, you'd be rewarded with these cards called promo cards, which just last for a little amount of time, and then it's over. So the first 6 months of this game, I hadn't done any of the battles, so I had missed like maybe 15 of these cards, and I hated looking at my promo collection and seeing the bottom half like all complete and the top half like 1 and then 8 empty ones and another one. It drove me nuts. So I was like, man, I wish so bad I could get my hands on those old promo cards. Well, you can, because until November 9th, the devs have decided to put in these special battles where they're advanced battles, so they're not quite expert, but they're advanced. And you go in and you fight these cards, and you have a chance. You get a promo pack from that particular volume, so volume 1, 2, 3, and then it's a random chance to be one of 5 cards, and you just hope so badly that you get all the cards that you missed. Well, Uno, I am proud to say, in one day, I collected all the cards I was missing.
Incredible.
Which is like 15-ish cards. And again, don't get me wrong, there'd be time I'd do 6 battles in a row and I got the same card or I didn't get the card that I needed. But I was so excited. I remember that day I was planning on playing some more Silk Song and continuing my 100% grind. And instead, I ended up playing Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket to try to collect all the cards, and I did, and it was such a good feeling. Such a good feeling to have all those cards collected. Yeah, so once again, the biggest update by far for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Love the new cards, love the new Mega EX cards, love the ability to go back and get promo cards. All we need now to really get it complete is having the chance to get some premium pass promo cards maybe, but who knows? Who knows if that's ever going to show up. But yeah, amazing. Just another reason for me to love this game so much, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. It's great. Really, really awesome. In addition to that, before I get into the main 2 games of my 2-game cycle that I streamed, I want to get into something because I did a special showcase stream last Tuesday, and I jumped back into Halo 5 Guardians, and the reason being is it was the day after, but recently it was the 10-year anniversary of Halo 5 Guardians. And I know I've said this story before, so I'll try to make it quick, but I seriously don't know if I'd be doing this podcast. I don't know if I'd be streaming if it wasn't for that game. Video games were always a big part of my life. I always really enjoyed them as a kid, but it wasn't until Halo 5 Guardians came out where I became like obsessed with video games. That's when it became like pro wrestling and video games became my 2 passions at that very moment. I absolutely cherish that game. I put more time into Halo 5 Guardians than any game ever. So anytime it's the anniversary, I'm always really thinking about Halo 5 Guardians, and I want to go back in and play it. 2 things. One thing I want to say that I was very sad about, Uno, this was the first time I have ever logged in to Halo 5 Guardians, and I could not find a single multiplayer match.
No,
so
I thought
that was heartbreaking.
I thought they still had a pretty active group of people playing it. I guess not.
So I certainly know on the Master Chief Collection, they do. But same thing. I think I played it last year. And don't get me wrong, I didn't try for very long. I tried for maybe 5 minutes. Tried Warzone. Tried just the normal multiplayer, Super Fiesta, stuff like that. So I could not find a multiplayer match, which made me very sad because to this day, Halo 5 Guardians is my favorite Halo multiplayer of all time. Specifically, Warzone Firefight is like one of, if not my favorite multiplayer modes in Halo, in all of Halo. So instead, though, I decided to jump back into the campaign, which was kind of appropriate because the day that I played Halo 5 Guardians, I stayed up. I played it, started playing it at like 12:30 at night, ended up staying up till like 8 or 9 in the morning and just beat the whole campaign in one sitting. I couldn't stop. So I was like, oh, I'm excited to jump back into the campaign. And I just want to say, because I know some people weren't crazy about the Halo 5 Guardians campaign. It by no means is my favorite campaign in regards to the story, but the campaign, in my opinion, it deserves way more praise. And here's why. Because I was looking at it from like a level design perspective. So you start off on the first level, you're Fire Team Osiris, you're this new group of Spartans, you're going through and fighting Prometheans and Covenant, and there's all these epic battles going on in the background with phantoms and all these ships and just people shooting in the sky. And then just the build up to where they teach you the game. They teach you about how to use the Spartan charge. They teach you to not go in immediately guns blazing, that sometimes when the Prometheans and the Covenant are fighting each other, maybe stay back and go that way. They show that there are shortcuts in this game. Like there's this one scenario on the first level where you can just run straight through, run for your life and fight for your life. Or there's a breakable wall on the side where you can go that way, which is hidden behind some ice, and climb up to the top, take out the enemies, also get a light rifle, which is really cool. So I really appreciate the game design there. And then on level 2, you are Blue Team, so Master Chief's team, and you're on a ship. And there's this really cool thing they do throughout this level where they build up the hunters the whole level. And they do it so well. Like you hear like the floor breaking underneath you, and you hear screaming, and a box goes flying off the wall, and you just hear Master Chief go, "Hunters." So then you're like, okay, where are the hunters going to be at? And then you're doing this for 5-10 minutes and dealing with other enemies. You finally get on an elevator, you finally start going down, and all you see is glass, and there's the hunter, and it breaks the glass, and then you have to fight hunters, and you have to figure out how you want to do it. Also, you don't have to fight them. You can figure out a way to escape without having to fight them. So I appreciate the freedom.
That's cool.
Appreciate it's really cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate the build up to the enemies who were so important. So again, I will die on this hill. The Halo 5 Guardians campaign is an absolute blast. I enjoyed it so much. Also, once again, the multiplayer is incredible. So again, happy anniversary to Halo 5 Guardians. I love you. You're the best. In addition to that, Uno, obviously I'm going to jump into the 2 games that I've been playing on stream. Number 1, and I'll be short with this, because again, I don't want to spoil anything whatsoever, but Clair Obscur Expedition 33, I just hit a point where it was like a really, really, really big reveal. So this game just keeps absolutely blowing my mind. I feel like I maybe am towards the tail end of the game. I don't know if I'm at the end, but I feel like I'm getting there. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, there is a ton of optional stuff that I can do throughout the world, which would take up so much time. But what I wanted to mention is there's this really interesting thing. We were talking about being overpowered or feeling powerful in RPGs. Kind of what's happened with me, and I've noticed, because I've been doing a bunch of the side content as much as I possibly can. I've been very focused on leveling up my Pictos to get them in Lumina. I have my party of 3 that I really enjoy playing with, but I can still go and try to fight some of these optional bosses and just get absolutely melted, like destroyed. But then at the same time, I'll go through like a main story fight, and in 2 or 3 turns, I'll win the battle. So it's really cool to see that dynamic. Like, you still feel really powerful, but then when you go and fight these optional enemies, you're like, oh my God, I'm not powerful at all. And it just further reminds me too, with all these different Pictos and weapons and stuff that you can get, I want to do another playthrough of this game and use a completely different party, use completely different elements, completely different Pictos. And I feel like it would be such a different experience. So, well, yeah, won't get into any story stuff, but Expedition 33 is continuing to blow my mind. Easily one of the best games this year. And hopefully soon, again, I have no idea. I might be completely wrong. I might have so much left to go, but hopefully soon I'll be able to talk about finishing that game. And speaking of almost finishing a game, Uno, I am at 100% completion in my Hollow Knight Silksong playthrough on my Steam Deck. I'm now at 75 hours plus into this game. And at this point, I don't want it to be over. At this point, I'm doing some stuff where I want to complete my Hunter's Journal. Like I said, I already got 100%, so I don't have to do this stuff, but I want to do everything that this game offers. One of those being, right now, I'm just grinding to try to complete the Hunter's Journal. That's definitely going to take some time, but going through and finding every enemy. This minor spoilers, not story spoilers, but towards the very end of the game, you can collect these things called mementos, which are different challenges throughout the world or different things that you have to do. So I'm in the process of wanting to get all of those. They do not count towards 100%. Also, minor spoilers, will not say where it is or what it is, but I think I'm going to wrap up before I go to the final boss. I'm going to wrap up by doing some really fun mini games that I'm really looking forward to. But not only are they fun, Uno, they are so hard, dude. They're so hard.
Considering they're reserved for the very end of the game, I would assume they're very difficult. Because even like the first 10 hours of the game are incredibly hard. So.
Right. Yeah, and it's awesome. It's awesome. But yeah, very, very difficult. So again, and the only other thing I wanted to mention about Silksong is, again, I'm also streaming my own playthrough on Twitch. And one of the coolest things is, this is minor spoilers. This is kind of story related.
This will actually spoil something, but also one of the coolest part of this game.
One of the coolest parts of the game.
You might not even see it.
Exactly. And it's in Act 1. It's also in Act 1. So, but yes, so I played through this game on my own. I never experienced this. I experienced this for the first time on stream with everybody, and it blew my mind. I had heard about it before, but it never happened to me. So I'm going out and exploring a little bit. You know, I'm like, I'm just going to do some odds and ends. And this enemy called a jailer is there. And I remember killing that enemy in my own playthrough. So I'm trying to get him, but he hit me. So I kind of tried to retreat for a second. He jumps up and throws a cage on top of me. And then all of a sudden my screen fades to black. I wake up. Hornet is not wearing her dress.
Yep.
She's just in this cage, and she has to sidekick her way out of the cage. I'm in this area, which is a prison area. I won't even say the name of the area, but in this prison area with absolutely nothing. No needle, like I said, no dress, no tools, no nothing. And I have to go through this area and find these groups of enemies that have all my stuff and take them out. And again, I have put so much time into Silksong, and this has never happened to me, but it happened to me on stream today. This game continues to surprise me. It is so, so cool. Man, I kind of hope that happens for everybody now, because I'm bummed it didn't happen to me. So I'm glad it happened to me on stream today, but it's such a cool part, dude. So such a cool part. Did that happen to you?
Yes, it did. So on my playthrough, just before the end of Act 1, this happened to me. And I remember we had a conversation off screen where I was like, did you get to this area? And you're like, I don't know what that is. And I just didn't tell you the context, because I could not believe... Because it pulls a Dark Souls on you, because Dark Souls does this. D2, right? I think does this, or maybe it's Dark Souls 3, but essentially, it propulses you into much further into the game, into a location that you are not ready for. But it makes it work. Like it works in a way. And truthfully, because you did this run too, you'll naturally get there eventually.
Yes,
but narrative wise, it is the entry points are so different. It's incredible that they did this. And then on top of it, end of Act 1, you could finish 3 different ways as well. There's so many different ways you could go about this game. I did want to ask you one question. The 100% for the game, is that location based? Is that just filling the map? Because I'm trying to understand what you need to do 100%. Is it boss based? Is it maps? Is it just doing the side mission stuff? What exactly do you need for the 100%?
So I think it's multiple things. I do know this for sure. Absolutely, the map is a huge thing. I think collecting all the mask shards, collecting all the spool fragments, upgrading all of your crests, fighting and defeating every boss, doing every side quest. So it is a lot of main things that you run into there. Definitely, for sure with bosses, and for sure with collecting, like getting all the upgrades for everything, including your needle and stuff like that too. So a lot of it is stuff that you will just naturally kind of discover on your own. Or another thing, rescuing all the fleas is another thing that counts to 100%. But yeah, I'm now at a point where I've done the 100%. And now this is all just optional fun stuff to do kind of on the side. So that's everything it entails, but definitely finding all the maps and collecting all the upgrades and fighting all the bosses and definitely doing all the side quests.
Do you know if there's a reward for when you complete your Hunter's Journal? Is there anything that unlocks there?
Yes.
Okay.
So I do know
Wonderful.
that I do know at this point, I am working on, and again, minor spoilers for Silksong. But again, at this point, I'm very focused on collecting all these mementos that you can get. So that's what I'll say in regards to
Okay.
to the Hunter's Journal.
Wonderful.
But yeah. So Silksong is so incredible. And God, I know I've been rambling for so long, but it was just such a great week of gaming. So this is the last thing I'll say. And I know I had mentioned this before. I had played a little bit of Silent Hill F with my brother before. Well, for Halloween, I wanted to stream my own file of Silent Hill F. And I just want to say again, being completely locked in with headphones on and staring at the screen the whole time, this game is so good. I am so excited to continue this. The music fits so perfectly. The lore, like really paying attention and like reading the documents that you find, dude. I don't know what happens, but this game is going to get so dark.
Oh, it's going to be soul crushing for sure. Yeah.
I can feel it. It's going to, which I know that's normally how Silent Hill is, but just the way they're building it up, 1960s Japan, this is going to be such a heartbreaking journey, like you said. But the only other thing I wanted to mention again is, I know I had mentioned before about getting a key and thinking you were going to unlock one door, but it didn't, and you had to run back. Just two really cool things. There was one area that I was walking through, which I did not see this the first time, and there's all this static that's playing. And again, for anyone who's played Silent Hill, you know that static means there's an enemy nearby, and it's a very tight corridor, and you're like, oh God, what's going to be there? You go around the corner, it legitimately is just a radio that you turn off, which I was like, that's so awesome. And then the other thing with the amazing monster designs is I climbed up a ladder thinking I was going to get away from one of the base enemies, and I didn't know they can jump like 2 stories up to where you are. It literally made me audibly yell. I was like, oh my God. So the game is so scary. The combat is so fun. But most importantly, the thing I love most about Silent Hill is the story seems like it's going to be a really interesting one that I'm going to want to see towards the end. So yeah, so excited that very appropriately on Halloween, got to play some more Silent Hill F. For anyone who wants a good horror experience or likes the Silent Hill games, and if you haven't tried Silent Hill F yet, I think definitely give it a go. Definitely give it a go. So
I got pretty deep in that game too, and that's on the short list of games after Ghost that I have to go and complete. Also, because we haven't announced this, but in the month of December, we're definitely going to be doing a Game of the Year episode.
Of course.
And for me, November and the first week of December is strictly finishing old games I haven't completed, including Expedition 33. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about Silent Hill F, and we're going to be talking about Expedition 33's ending in the next few weeks. So do anticipate that for sure. Big one this week. We played a whole lot of games, but that's not the end of our episode because we still have the producer quiz and the news of the week, and it happens right after this.
Welcome back, everybody. And now that we're back, we're going to jump right into one of our new favorite segments every week on this podcast, that being the producer quiz. Our producers were nice enough to send me and Uno 3 questions to test our video game knowledge. And Uno, are you ready to go?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and once again, what we'll do is we'll read each question. Me and Uno will give our answer, and then at the very, very end of this podcast, we will reveal the correct answers. The correct answers exist on a different page, so me and Uno have no idea what they are. And actually, we barely looked at these questions before we started today. So without further ado, let's get into question 1. Question 1 is, what was the first handheld console with a rechargeable battery? Is it A, PSP, B, PS Vita, C, Game Boy Advance SP, or D, Nintendo DS? Ooh.
Wow. I genuinely, looking at all 4, I was like, I can't tell what was wired to recharge and what had batteries in it.
I know. Go ahead.
No, go for it, please.
I was going to say, I right now, I think if I had to pick, my gut is telling me A, PSP, but did the Game Boy Advance SP
That's
have?
what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm between.
But I also don't know if the SP came out after PSP. Like I
know.
What year did all of these come out? Like obviously PS Vita is the latest of all of these ones. But also the previous ones could all be battery operated. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm very glad that you said that though, Uno, because I'm 99% sure the PSP and the Nintendo DS came out around the same time.
Yes,
because
I believe so.
PS Vita, that was when the 3DS came out.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, I wonder if the Game Boy Advance SP did come out before.
So the Vita definitely has a
PSP.
wire. That I remember.
Yeah.
PSP. Wow. I don't think it has a battery pack in there. Like, I think it has to be rechargeable, right? I can't imagine myself putting batteries in that device.
Yeah, I do not think the PSP has a slot for like 2 AA batteries.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm so stumped. This is such a good question. I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna say a PSP. That's what I'm gonna go with.
I'm gonna go and say, and I do not know if this is the truth. I'm gonna go to Nintendo DS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great question. Okay. Number 2. What was the first PlayStation 2 game to support online play? Is it A, SOCOM US Navy SEALs, B, Twisted Metal Black Online, C, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, or D, Gran Turismo 3 A Spec? Ooh, I think I know this one.
I also think I know this one for once. Because I think it's SOCOM US Navy SEALs.
I think exactly that's what it is. Yes,
I vaguely remember that was the whole selling point, was that like the first time you got to use your online mode on PlayStation 2. I believe SOCOM is the first one. So my answer is SOCOM US Navy SEAL.
And also, I'm 99% sure because in my video games textbook, second edition, I swear in my brain there's a picture of this game talking about it being the first PS2 game to support online play. So I think we're right. All right, so we're both going A, SOCOM US Navy SEAls. And question 3. Ooh,
I didn't know this one. Okay, all right.
Ooh, what is the only M-rated game Mario has officially appeared in? Well, I think I know it. A, Conker's Bad Fur Day. B, Resident Evil 4. C, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. Or D, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes.
So here's the issue with this one. I feel like A is a red herring. It was on N64, but I do not think Mario was present in the game at all. I might be wrong. I don't think RE4 has a Mario cameo in it, but I could be wrong as well. So my brain says it's either C or D, both on GameCube. I'm gonna go Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. I don't know why, but I'm pretty certain I remember Eternal Darkness does not have Mario on it.
And Uno, I know we're picking the same answers, but I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you. I do think it's Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. The only reason I think, and now as far as officially appeared, that's the interesting thing, but I'm 99% sure there's an Easter egg with like a Mario hat or a Yoshi egg or something like that. I feel like my brain remembers that. So Uno, I'm going to agree with you. That's what my gut is telling me as well. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. So this is the first producer quiz where we both completely agreed on question 2 and question 3. The only difference we have is question number 1. So hey, great minds think alike, dude.
Anyone's game, though. Anyone's game. That first one, we could be wrong as well. That's the worst part of this all. we could think we're really right about this, but we could absolutely be wrong. And you know what? And you will find out all about that at the very, very end of the episode. And so will we, because truthfully, the only one I think, question 2, I think I have it. I think we must. SOCOM US Navy SEALs, I don't feel like I would even know that game if it wasn't for the PlayStation 2 game support. Which is crazy because SOCOM was a big part of the Sony brand for PS2 going into 3 as well. All right. Of course, we will answer the producer quiz at the very end of this episode. We will give you the answer, all 3. I believe currently it is 5-3 for Chugs, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
So right now, Chugs in the lead. Anyone's game. Play along with us. Let us know what you got at youtube.com/AEW Games in the comments. We've got some news from this week, starting with, and this will suck because neither of us got to. I didn't even know this happened. The
Dude,
fact that
I was so bummed that I heard, well, same thing. I had heard about it actually right after it happened, and I still had not had the chance to watch the entire thing. But yeah, same. I was so upset. I would have loved to watch this live.
So ID at Xbox dropped a 50-minute showcase of their indie brands. ID at Xbox is their indie brand showcase, and 50 minutes of different games. And we're talking all kinds of different stuff, including, of course, I already talked about it earlier, but the Balatro expansion to Vampire Survivors was announced here. They showed a bunch of Mouse PI for Hire. That's the first-person shooter that looks like a... I don't know what the time frame from this is, but it's like a neo-noir first-person shooter, but it's like hand-drawn in like old Mickey Mouse style art style.
1920s cartoon style. Like it's so good. Looks so good.
They announced new characters for the Invisible Versus game that we had heard about just recently. They announced a sequel to what's it called? Darkwood, which was over the top kind of horror roguelike game. Darkwood 2 is coming out. There's a bunch of other stuff. Honestly, I wish I had watched all 50 minutes because this is exactly the type of stuff I'm into, is a bunch of indie games. Because I can't... Titles alone, I can't do it justice. I need to see these all. But titles you might know, DayZ is getting a Badlands expansion. That teases the largest map to ever happen in DayZ. So if you're one of those players, that is also coming out. Raw Fury, who released Blueprints and Blake Manor, which I just talked about, showcased 3 new games also, so well worth looking at that. And then there's a ton of other stuff, including TCG Card Shop Simulator, which I was playing a ton of on PC, is finally coming to consoles in 2026. Go check that out. A ton of new stuff. 50 minutes of Idea Showcase. It's crazy. Every week we're dropping these big pieces, these big meaty pieces with a bunch of new games. We're never going to dig out from the backlog. It's impossible.
I'm going to get buried with my backlog.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I'm going to get buried with it. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the last few weeks, we have not talked about this game, but I think at some point one of us will definitely get it and play it. But Pokémon Legends Z-A just came out recently. And good news for Game Freak, because this is the 5th best launch in Pokemon launch history, selling over 5.8 million copies in just its first week. Very impressive. And I also hear people are really enjoying this one. I'm trying to see what the top one is. The 4 games above it are all Switch titles. Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million in 3 days. Legends Arceus, I think, sold 6.5 million in 3 days. Pokemon Sword and Shield sold 6 million in 3 days, and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which I think are expansions to previous ones, I think the DS ones, they sold 6 million in 3 days. So it is doing very, very good. And it's getting great reviews. I know that IGN and a few others have really enjoyed it. And then my friends who are playing it, are deep into it, are completely in love with the game as well. I definitely am. I'm looking forward to eventually jumping into the Pokemon games, because I have not played any of the recent ones. And this one seems like a fully realized version of that like third-person RPG style that they've been trying to get recently.
Yeah, because I hear the combat is completely different, but in like a very refreshing and fun way. So like you said, I definitely can't wait to check this out. I did play Pokemon Scarlet, really, really enjoyed it. But this one has gotten even better reviews. So, I mean, it's Pokemon. Pokemon's incredible. But yeah, I can't wait to jump into this one, man.
Yeah, great news for them, for sure. On some other Nintendo news, we talked about this a few times in the last few months, even maybe a year at this point. But a little refresher. Do you remember Pal World? This was the PC game that came out that there was this big fiasco about how the characters in the game looked a lot like Pokemon, and you could capture characters to essentially work on your farm. It was not a battle style for capture. They just ended up at your farm. They would structure your farm, and it was kind of like a survival game. But Nintendo did not take well to this, actually sued Pal World, and also applied for a patent for their mechanics, specifically for this little piece of story, the capturing mechanic. They believe that Pokemon should be the only ones that you can throw a third item to capture a creature into that item itself. So they applied for this patent in Japan. We've been talking about it for a year because it's been a developing story. Well, finally, Japan came back, and it's actually denied Nintendo the patent for the Pokemon-like capturing mechanic. Now, you could think about it many ways, for sure. I will say, I think this is good news. This will not stifle creativity and will not stifle people from attempting to make games that at least resemble Pokemon. I don't think there should be. I understand Pokemon, the IP, you should not touch. That Nintendo IPs you shouldn't mess with at all. Nintendo, quite litigious. They will definitely get after you. But I think mechanically, there are things in Pokemon that I think should be free game, and I'm glad that the Japan courts think so as well. So that we can get behind this. That now it seems there are still, I think, some ongoing stuff with Pal World, more on a art side now. But at least the main issue that was plaguing all independent makers was the Pokemon-like capturing mechanic is now still free game. It is not exclusive to Nintendo, which I think is good news.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this is great news. I am a huge Pokemon fan. I love Pokemon to death. It is a monster of a franchise that will just always be at the tip top when it comes to sales and excitement from its audience. But like you said, I think the idea of course, I understand people being protective of their IPs and things like that. But like you said, the idea of it stifling creativity would make me sad, because I think there's a lot of super creative game developers out there. So again, huge Pokemon fan, but I think this is a good move.
And then finally, I have a nice little news piece I want to talk about because I just think it's quite funny. But recently there was a handful of interviews. One, a Konami executive, former Konami executive by the name of Christopher Bergstresser. I'm sure I messed up that name. And in that, he had discussed that there was a previous discussion with the creators of The Matrix, that being the Wachowski siblings, about the Wachowskis approaching Konami with the idea of making a Matrix game with Hideo Kojima behind it. Now, this kind of blew up this week because the Wachowskis themselves tweeted about it. This interview came out as well. The funny thing from this is, and by the way, Konami straight up just said no, I guess, to the ask, or the way that it was discussed. They're like, no, we're not doing it. But in a kind of further expansion on the relationship of Kojima and Konami, Kojima went out and said, hey, in all these 26 years that I've since making games, no one's ever told me that I was going to make a Matrix game. No one's ever even approached me. Which is crazy. He said, the Wachowskis, they said they have been in communications and they send each other letters of like how they enjoy their properties. But like Konami themselves never told Kojima he was on deck to potentially make a Matrix game. And as it's blowing up with news, he's like, well, I think this is quite impressive, but I'm very surprised because I was never offered to make a Matrix game at all.
Oh my God. It's so silly. And it's so funny to hear, especially with, God, Kojima is just, he's the man. The idea of him making a Matrix game with Konami would have been awesome, but clearly that did not happen. That did not happen.
He did say that at the time, even if it were to come up, he probably wouldn't have made the game because he was deep into making Metal Gear Solid 2. Which would have meant that there was no way they could have made the game. And they did eventually make the Enter the Matrix game, which I assume would be around the same time as Metal Gear Solid 2, because that was in the early days of Xbox, so around the PS2 era as well. So that kind of does line up, at least as a story of them having the discussion. I would be, especially because the Matrix is such a weird property, I feel like it would have worked. For someone who is not like Kojima is the greatest of all time, I think he's a super fascinating, super talented guy. But I think this would have been an IP he would have killed for sure. He would have killed it with the Matrix.
Oh, would have been so cool. God, that would have been awesome.
Man, the Matrix at the time was one of my favorite brands of all time. I saw the first movie in theaters 6 times, I think, at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think that movie rules. I also even like the Enter the Matrix game that came out. I think I will. This is a misquote for sure. I don't think it's true. I think Acclaim made Enter the Matrix. Maybe. Okay. Somebody correct me on youtube.com/AW Games. Let me know if I'm correct or not, or at least tweet it to me. But I did enjoy that game a whole lot. It's too bad. It's too bad.
Yeah.
It could still happen, though. Truthfully,
it could still happen.
They can make Matrix 5. Keanu Reeves is still going strong. They made that fourth one, which, to be honest, was terrible. Sorry to say that out publicly. That's it for our news for this week. There's obviously other news pieces, but if you think there's anything important that we missed, let us know in the comments. YouTube.com/AWGames. That is where the video format is. Go in the comment of this specific podcast. Let me know, and I will read that news piece if it does seem important next week. This would be the end of the episode if it wasn't for our favorite part. That's right, the mailbag. The arcade mailbag will come to you right after this. And we're back. It's time for the arcade mailbag. But before the arcade mailbag, as always, it's brought to you by our friends at Upper Deck. If you do not know, Upper Deck produces beautiful cards for All Elite Wrestling. We actually have one of their more recent packs, the Metal Pack. We've been unpacking these for a year now, and by far our favorite packs has been the Metal Pack. Every single card is pristine. It's gorgeous. We're going to unpack one right now and see what we got. Worth your time.
They're the best.
They are. Starting with Dax Harwood, Shelton Benjamin.
Nice.
We got a double Shelton. We've got the boys of Hurt Business.
We've got
oh my God, Mariah May, Zach Gibson. And of course, nice. Marina Shafir.
And a Marina Shafir card. Look at those. You can see those cards are awesome.
Even on the camera, if you do not know this and you're listening to the audio, when you look at the video format of it, you see the sheen on these things. These things are pristine. They're beautiful cards. But that's not all. Upper Deck also has an AEW memorabilia launch from Upper Deck Authenticated that features a standout autograph pieces such as the Adam Copeland Rated R Superstar print, a Kenny Omega Flying High Gold, a Chris Jericho Fozzy Lionheart in London. For the first time, collect Hangman Page signed Cowboy Snapback, the Young Bucks inscribed Reebok pumps with Super Kick and Party inscriptions, and MJF's plaid cashmere scarf. Each piece brings personality, style, and a touch of wrestling history to your collection. Visit upperdeckstore.com or click the link in the show notes to grab yours today. Thank you to Upper Deck as always. We've got a handful of questions, only 2 this week. If you want your questions answered, go to tbs.com/arcade mailbag. That is where we pick our stories. Our questions. What do we have today, Chugs?
Yes. Starting off strong with a question from Reese. Reese, thank you for the question. Hey, Uno and Chugs. My PS5 and Xbox Series X are collecting dust, while my Steam Deck has completely taken over as my main way to game. Even my girlfriend, who purely gamed on her Switch until a year ago, now has a Steam library that rivals mine thanks to her Steam Deck. I love the Steam Deck.
Oh, me too.
This is purely anecdotal, but it seems like we're seeing the widespread shift where handhelds and PCs are straight up replacing traditional consoles. Xbox's entire strategy seems to support that, given that anything can be an Xbox now, and console exclusives are in the past. With all that said, is the console era ending? And a follow-up, if you have time to get to it, what new features would the PS6 and the next-gen Xbox have to bring to the table in order for them to succeed? Reese, thank you very much for the question. This is such a good question to talk about. I do not think the console era is ending.
Me neither.
I don't think we're there yet. Honestly, I hope it never goes away. I know people talk about the way that video games are going, that could be something that happens, and that may very well be. But as far as right now, as long as Sony has exclusives and Nintendo has exclusives and people still buy those consoles to play those exclusives, I don't think consoles are going anywhere. Now, I do think there's going to be some interesting transitions. Like, first and foremost, what you had mentioned about the next-gen Xbox console being like a PC hybrid where you can play everything. I've said before, I do think that could do really well if the price is reasonable. I think if it's super, super powerful, but also doesn't cost like as much as a super souped-up PC PC, where people maybe want to dip their toes into the PC market because, like you had said, people are more and more interested in playing handhelds or checking out PCs. I think Xbox is an incredible gateway to going that route, and I really hope it does well. I certainly want to get my hands on one. It sounds like it's going to be a premium, powerful console. But in regards to what features the PS6 needs to do to succeed, I'll go into one thing as far as hardware goes, but generally speaking, it's my same answer for why I don't think the console era is ending, and that is their software. People want to buy a PS6 because they can only play the games they really want to play on the PS6. Same thing with the Switch 2. They're going to buy the Switch 2 or the Switch 3 or whatever the next console is to exclusively play these Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong games that they can't play anywhere else. So I think as long as Sony and Nintendo keeps that approach and keeps that strategy, which I don't see any reason why they would change it, I think it'll be just fine. I do think the rumored handheld PS6 would be incredible.
I agree.
I think that would be awesome.
I'm in the same boat here. I actually, while it does seem bad, and I think Xbox is definitely leaning towards going more the semi-PC route, which I think truthfully will pay off. I think it's a better. I think Microsoft's time in the console market, they might be ending, and they might be going to do their own thing. A thing that I don't think a PlayStation, Sony device, or a Nintendo device can do. I think the Steam Deck, for as great as it is, probably has a smaller user base than a Switch 2 or a PS5 or well, I don't know about the Series X, but comparatively, I think Microsoft is going to for that piece of the pie, where I think they're going for the super users, and that's going to bleed to a bunch of other sales for super users. But I think as long as Sony and Nintendo are in the game, especially Nintendo, I don't think we'll ever stop seeing a console release. Nintendo can fail, and I don't remember the exact quote on this, but they have accumulated so much wealth over the time, and they're so conservative with how they spend the money at Nintendo, be it on the development of games. They're usually much lower, let's say, a Sony device or even a Microsoft project. They could fail for the next 50 years and still be okay. They can lose money for 50 years and still be okay. And they're more than okay trying weird stuff out. So I think there is a future where Nintendo tries some weird stuff. But I think for as long as Nintendo exists, you can only play Nintendo stuff on a Nintendo device. I don't see them going the route of an Xbox. I don't think they could compete with a super powerful device. It's all about their brands and their IPs. And I think they will hold on to that stuff for as long as possible. So I think as long as Nintendo's around, we have consoles. But truthfully, if Sony wants to go ahead, and this sucks because in one way, the Switch is a console, but it is also a handheld. And truthfully, that's what I want out of a PS6. I want more than a PS5 in power, but if I can walk away with it, that's what I really want. And I don't know if we'll ever get that specifically, but we are. I think we're at the cusp of where the hardware can finally do it. Computers are becoming more compact. Consoles, obviously PS5 is ginormous, but they're becoming more compact. We're seeing the ROG Ally is quite powerful. We're not that far, I think, from a PS6 being both your console and your handheld. I think handheld will rule over time, but I think they will also be consoles simultaneously. I think it will go the Switch route where there's some form of docking device, or even maybe no dock and it just a wire to your TV. But one way or another, I don't think consoles are going anywhere. And for me, for a PS6, by far, I can't think of anything visually. I think even the feedback I didn't think about before it came on PS5, but it has to be a handheld. I think that is by far the new feature that a Sony device would have that's going to get me in there. But truthfully, me and Chugs are going to end up buying all of them regardless.
Yeah, right. But God, Reese asking this question again, thank you very much for sending it in and us just talking about it out loud. I'm actually incredibly excited to see where everyone's going. I love the idea of Microsoft going kind of the half PC route. PlayStation is killing it. Can't wait to see what they do with the PS6. Obviously, Nintendo is on top of the world. The Steam Deck is working on the Steam Deck 2. It's amazing how quickly the technology is advancing and kind of what directions everyone's going. So once again, again, as gamers, I think we got a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon from everybody. So I'm really pumped.
I will say,
really,
I think pumped.
pumped.
Microsoft has a two-prong approach where right now it's not paying off, but like Game Pass and the fact that Microsoft owns their cloud servers, there is a future, I think, where you could just own an Xbox controller and a TV will have Game Pass cooked into it. Same way as a Netflix or an Amazon and all that will happen. And the cloud is strong enough that you can play their full library. I think there is a future that they may not necessarily need a console for it to advance. But I do think they will still make consoles because no matter what, even if you cloud game it and the cloud servers are incredibly fast, your internet can only be so fast and so reliable. And I think a super device for the super fan and the super consumer in video games is definitely going to pay off for them in the long run. So I think Xbox actually right now, maybe not doing incredibly well, but I think there is a future where they're actually maybe even at the forefront because they might be thinking a little ahead of everyone else.
Right. Reese, great question.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Awesome question. It's just getting me excited for the future of gaming. It really is. And only 2 questions this week. So last question, last but not least, from Dwayne. Dwayne says, "Hey Chugs and Uno, do you think the Halo CE remake has a genuine shot at bringing the franchise back to the glory days, especially with the news that it's coming out on the PS5?" Uno, do you mind if I?
Oh, please. I know exactly what you're going to say, so go for it.
Okay. So, Dwayne, everyone listening to this podcast, I mean it. There is no bigger Halo fan than me. I love that franchise. Again, I mentioned it at the start. Halo made me fall in love, made me become obsessed with video games. I love Halo so much. So I certainly am in that camp where I'm actually very excited that it's coming to PlayStation 5. And all these new players are going to get the chance to play and experience Halo like I have. And if that means, thousands of people who never got to play Halo before get to play it, I'm so excited about that. However, as far as Halo, really exploding and taking over the gaming industry, I don't think that's possible without multiplayer. And I think right now, all that Halo has announced, I don't know if this will eventually be added later or what the game plan is, but it is called Halo Campaign Evolved, where it is just a campaign. Now, I love that there's crossplay. You could play with someone on Xbox and on PlayStation 5. It's in Unreal Engine 5. It looks incredible. The Halo Combat Evolved campaign is one of the best FPS campaigns of all time. They're adding 3 new prequel missions. It is absolutely worth to go out of your way. I would tell every gamer who has never played Halo or has played it that you should definitely play Halo Campaign Evolved. But again, what really brought Halo to the forefront was people getting together, doing LAN parties or split screen, or obviously Xbox Live with Halo 2. Halo took over the world with multiplayer. So I think Halo Campaign Evolved is going to do really well. I think a lot of people are going to get the chance to experience Halo and love it like I do. But as far as it really being kicked into high gear, I really don't think that's possible without multiplayer. I don't.
I completely agree with you. And it seems wild to know that as of yet, there is no discussion of a multiplayer mode, and everything points to it not having multiplayer included at all. There is quite some time until this happens. We have the 25th anniversary still to come. There could be some news that changes this. But at this moment, there is no mention of multiplayer, and that is by far the biggest selling point of a Halo game. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they do end up doing it, and this ends up blowing up more so. I think there's got to be a reason why they're not doing it, right?
Yeah.
If
there has to be.
There has to be. Either they don't want to take a piece of the pie of like Infinite 2, or maybe maybe there is a multiplayer mode, or maybe they're remaking Halo 2's multiplayer mode to come out and coincide with it or something. But there's got to be something. There's got to be something.
There has to be something. Like you said, either Halo Infinite is working on something, or the Master Chief Collection is coming over where you could play 6 Halos and all the multiplayers online. But yeah, the decision to not do it. Also, I'm thinking, will they not be able to finish it by the time they want to release it in 2026?
That is true.
Is making the multiplayer demanding. Because again, Unreal Engine 5, the game looks gorgeous. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of resources being put in there. And again, I'll be playing that campaign Evolved on day one. But yeah, that's one hard thing for me, and I'm sure it will be understood in time. But not including multiplayer is just it's a really interesting choice. And again, I hope so bad that they announce it later, or some other Halo multiplayers come over, because again, I'm more of a campaign guy, honestly. But if you want people to get excited about Halo, again, the multiplayer is like nothing else, So we'll see. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Dwayne, thank you so much for your question. And of course, thank you to everyone that always sends us your questions. TBS.com/arcade mailbag is where you can send your question. We typically answer 2 or 3 at the end of every single episode. Now, we teased it earlier. We answered the 3 questions. It is time to find out in the producer's quiz if we did okay. Based on Chugs' face, maybe not. Maybe.
Oh, dude,
you just did the weirdest grimace where I'm like, oh, I don't know what we did. All right. Tell me the answers here.
Okay, I was just shocked. So question 1. What was the first handheld console with a rechargeable battery? I said PSP. You said Nintendo DS. My second choice was the correct answer. Game Boy Advance SP is the correct answer. Dang it, man. That's okay. Released globally in 2003, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP was an upgraded version of the Nintendo Game Boy Advance with a clamshell design. It was the first handheld console with a rechargeable battery. So we were both wrong on that one. Yeah. Oh, man. Great question, though. Question 2. What was the first PlayStation 2 game to support online play? We both said SOCOM US Navy SEALs. That is wrong, Uno. That's wrong.
So reading this, I didn't even know this. Keep going. All right.
Yeah, the correct answer, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 in 2001. We were so confident, dude. You didn't need the official PS2 network adapter to play it online. You just needed a standard USB to Ethernet adapter and a dial-up connection. SOCOM and Twisted Metal Black Online, the online version of Twisted Metal Black, launched a year later, leveraging the official network adapter and PlayStation Online service. No way, dude.
I thought you had to have the network adapter to even play online stuff.
So did I.
Wow.
So did I.
Okay, well, I'm learning all kinds of things about the PS2 today.
Dude, that's incredible. That's a great piece of information. I thought you needed that modem or whatever that came with the, because I have a PlayStation 2 collectible and I have the internet modem with it as well. But oh man, okay. So we're 0-2 right now, dude. We're 0-2. But last but not least, last question is, what is the only M-rated game Mario has officially appeared in? And fortunately, the both of us were right. The answer was Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Mario appears in Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes as a cameo, along with Yoshi in Dr. Emmerich's laboratory as a pair of dolls. If the player shoots Mario, a one-up sound can be heard, and Solid Snake will gain a little bit of health. If the player shoots Yoshi, he'll say his name.
Wow.
Beautiful. I thought so.
I vaguely remember Mario's involvement in this game. I just didn't know if it was an official basis or if it was just like a hat or something. So I'm glad we were both right on that one. In fact, this one was the one I was unsure about, and somehow that's the only one I was right about.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh my God. Great questions. Great questions. Thank you again to our producers for sending these in. So again, we both
we're tied.
2 incorrect, 1 correct.
That tie. Means, I think we were at we were at 3 and 5, so that makes it 4 and 6, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
4 and 6 or 6 and 4. Yeah.
Yes,
we'll do it.
I'm trailing by 2 is what I believe is the current take.
Anyone's game. That's
right. And we'll have more producers quiz next week, as always. Thank you to everyone for listening to our episode. We love that you spend your time with us on the Mondays in the wee hours of the morning if you're listening in audio, or at noon Eastern Standard Time if you're trying to watch it as our video format. That's on youtube.com/awgames. Could not do this with any of y'all. By far, one of the favorite part of my weeks is to finally get to unload everything I played to all of you and to the Chugs. And so we are very appreciative for your time. If you would like to follow us on our extra stuff, you can find me at twitch.tv/eviluno. And as always, the Chugs is at twitch.tv/thechugs. Chugs, what are you? You're at Expedition 33. What else are you playing on there?
Yes. So once again, continuing Expedition 33. I feel like I'm getting close to the end, but we'll see. I probably have a lot more game. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Just feels like that's where it is. So Expedition 33, amazing. And then also I am playing through Hollow Knight Silksong, my own streamed playthrough of Hollow Knight Silksong. And a lot of different stuff has happened that I have not expected. So it's been really fun. So Expedition 33 and Silksong on twitch.tv/the Chugs.
And I will be likely playing some Ball Pit. I'm coming right back to Twitch. I've decided this week is the week as well. Yes. Twitch.tv/AW Games. If you are listening to this episode on Monday, every Monday night around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a Twitch stream on AW Games, twitch.tv/AW Games. This week, if you went through the pandemic, it's back. We're doing an Among Us stream on Monday. If you're listening to this, it's the old times all over again. It's the good times. We're doing that tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you can also just follow the channel for every single week. There is a Twitch stream on Mondays, as well as our YouTube. Not only is our podcast posted at AW Games, but it also has our sister show. That is the Bronami Code with MXM. Drops every single Thursday. Do follow us on YouTube. Thank you to everyone, as always. And we will be back next Monday with more video game discussions. Thank you, and bye-bye.